As Michelle mentioned, Robert and I are here today from OpenText to talk to you about secure file transfer solutions with secure MFT, and specifically address our big files, big problems for you. So again, my name is Amy Campos. I'm here with Robert Wong. So why is this important? There are two major trends that we see in the marketplace today, and it has to do with the size of files and the security of files. Number one, single files are simply getting bigger and bigger. The technology that exists today in the digital media asset realm is incredible. The way that we can create digital media files causes those files to become bigger and bigger and bigger. So the quality and the size of those files are increasing. Secondly, sometimes people need to share collections of files. Maybe they're smaller files, but they are collections of files that need to be shared very quickly and easily. Think of, for example, a law firm that needs to share e-discovery files with the second chair or with the opposing counsel, etc., and they need to send all of their e-discovery files to another location. Those can be very large collections of files, and those need to be shared not only very quickly and easily, but securely. And sometimes, I mean, let's face it, we love email, we live in our email systems, but email simply can't send a lot of times these very large files, these very large single files, or these very large collections of files. It's just not meant to handle that type of capacity. On the other side, what we're seeing is that with all of the news that we hear today about data breaches, data integrity, file phishing, etc., hacking, interception, it is simply imperative that organizations keep their files safe and secure. And they are most vulnerable when they're on the move, right? So when they're behind your firewall, you know, you have your own, you have confidence in your own security protocols, etc. But once those files need to move from point A to point B, they become a possible point of failure and they become at risk. And there are simply too many ways that employees try to share sensitive information, proprietary information, etc., that's not secure and put organizations at risk. So how are they doing that? Some of the most common ways when email, for example, when we get the notification that file size exceeds the capacity for your Exchange server, some of the ways that people or employees try to exchange files are the most common. So, for example, FTP. It's been around for a very long time. It's been around since the 70s. Unfortunately, though, it is still 1970s technology, and it just simply has not developed and grown to be an enterprise-grade solution. But there are so many organizations out there that are still using FTP. Some of the problems around FTP are pretty obvious. There are certainly it's very complex to set up for the IT department. It's very difficult to manage for administrators. There can be multiple FTP sites, and simply when a user needs to send a large file and FTP is their only option, 9 times out of 10 I would say it involves IT intervention, someone from IT to help that end user send a file via FTP. It is unmonitored and it certainly lacks security, so there are some very real security risks around FTP. And not to mention the fact that it's very, very slow. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, how acceleration technology within our product, how it beats and compares to FTP. So if you're using FTP, I encourage you to pay attention to that. Email, you know, even if your file sizes can go through email, there still are real security concerns, not to mention the file size limitations, and certainly no audit trail or proof of receipt. So security concerns, I mean, I'm sure, I just heard even as recently as this week a mention of the Sony scandal, the email hacking scandal that happened with Sony last year. It's very real, and it can certainly happen to even the largest organizations. Postal and courier, you know, it's pretty obvious why that can be a problem. It can be very, very slow, depending on what you're transferring and how far away the individual is. It can take days. It can be very costly, and it's certainly when you break that chain of command between the owner of the content and the receiver of the content, it is certainly subject to loss and theft. Some other popular tools, unsecure popular tools that employees use are USBs, external hard drives, etc. That removable media that certainly puts your organization's content at risk. When that content walks out the door on a USB drive, you lose complete control over what happens to that. So if it's left at a coffee shop, etc., it can certainly be stolen. And I know we've heard of cases with some very popular companies where some of their content has been lost that way. And then finally, the public cloud sharing alternatives, such as Dropbox, etc., can certainly put an organization at risk. These are not enterprise-grade solutions, and that's certainly what you need to consider when you're putting your valuable assets, your intellectual property, your proprietary information, when you are sharing that outside your organization. You need to make sure that it is secure. And these alternatives, including cloud sharing alternatives, simply aren't enterprise grade. They have a lot of risk around them. There's a lot of uncertainty regarding the files as they sit out there in cyberspace, in the cloud, etc. And are only, it's very difficult to manage those assets and keep 100% visibility as to what's in the cloud and on the move. And of course, if you are in an industry where there's compliance and regulatory information or some data sovereignty concerns, those are very real concerns that you need to consider. But today we're here to talk about managed file transfer, which is a technology that does provide end-to-end visibility and security when you're transferring those large files from point A to point B. So when files move outside your organization, when they're most vulnerable, that's when they need the most protection, and managed file gives them that protection. So we're going to talk specifically about OpenText Secure MFT. And the three things that we're going to focus on for Secure MFT today is how easy it is to use, how secure it is, and how fast it is with our acceleration technologies. So Robert's going to talk about these in a little more detail, but just to give you a highlight, in terms of the security. So Secure MFT is a managed file transfer solution that eliminates that risk associated with file exchange. So it provides a secure and encrypted solution for all employees to safely and securely exchange those files and protect them. Protect your intellectual properties, protect your confidential information, etc., as they go from point A to point B. Secondly, it's very easy to use. If an employee needs to very quickly and easily send a very large file, as Robert will show you, it is very, very easy to do, which increases the adoption throughout your organization. So you'll have one single solution for employees to go to do their large file transfers. It's very easy to send, not only from within email, but also within desktop and web applications, etc., with zero disruption in their workflow. Very easy to do, no complicated steps, no impossible security codes, etc. Very easy to use. And finally, Secure MFT with its acceleration technology, and we'll talk about that in a minute, how it compares specifically to FTP, is very, very fast. And we have some patent, OpenText Few is our patent pending acceleration technology that makes that happen. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Robert Wong, who is our Senior Product Manager for Secure MFT, and he is going to talk specifically about the features that support these tools.
Thank you, Amy. Again, my name is Robert Wong, Senior Product Manager, and to follow up on what Amy was saying, before I go back into the slide deck, I'm just going to give you a very quick demo to illustrate some of the points that Amy was making before. She mentioned that sending files using secure MFT can be a very simple affair. So what you will do in this typical scenario is that you install our secure MFT application on your system, and then with this application installed, whenever you go and try to send a new email, you will get extra buttons on your ribbon. They are basically allow you to attach files or attach folders or configure secure MFT, the behavior of it. And so imagine that I want to send an email to Amy and also send an email to myself. Typically, what I would do is I would try to use the attach button to attach something that can be relatively huge. So, for example, this 154 megabyte file, and when you use it with Microsoft Exchange, you'll get this typical error message saying that your Exchange server just simply refused to handle something like this. So what I will do instead, I can use the attach file button from the secure MFT ribbon section, and then I will attach the same file, 154 megabyte file. And the moment I click attach, well, first of all, you notice that there is no complaint from the system, and the second of all is that the attachment itself turned into a link sitting in the attach area, and that's basically an instruction, if you will, to the native client that we have installed on the system. The file itself is not being attached in an email. So as simple as that. You can actually attach folders as well. If you have folders structure with subfolders and contents in there, you can use this option. So instead of breaking those things down into individual files to send or zip them all up manually to do the send, you can just simply attach a folder. The moment I click send, what happens is that my native secure MFT client will wake up and then say, hey, I want to send a file. I will just simply try to do a transfer using secure MFT solution. And then when the file transfer finished, what I will get is basically an email like this, an email that basically shows me the message of the email itself, but also a link that points to the secure MFT server. Whereas when I click on this link as a receiver, I'll just go back to the secure MFT server and download the file. And the whole transaction, of course, it's done within the Outlook, but we can also do it outside of Outlook if you're using the web browser, or if you want to use our native client itself to send files, you can definitely do that. You can click on the send button. You have a form in there, just like a regular email program. You type in your recipient, attach some file, put in some message, and then you can send it. The act of sending is secure, as the name implies. When the data is being transferred over the wire, it is encrypted using the FIPS 140-2 cryptographic module. And when the file is being stored in our secure MFT server, it is also being encrypted. So that's what we call data at rest encryption. There are obviously other options available now for you to configure your send and receive activities. So when it comes to options, for example, one thing that Amy mentioned is that you want to be secure in a sense that not only that the act of file transfer is secure, but at the same time you want to know the activities related to this file, who has downloaded at what time. You want to get this type of proof of delivery notification being sent to you. So this is a panel where you can configure your notifications, and this type of notification will be very useful in the court of law, or if you have not run into any kind of dispute that you want to prove the point. This is going to be your best proof that someone actually did download the file at a certain time. There are other options. For example, you can attach different types of legal templates to your file transaction. So if there's something that's critical, it's sensitive, you can wrap another layer of legal protection by attaching a license agreement or disclaimer or non-disclosure agreement to your file transfer activities. So whenever a user wants to download the file, they have to first agree to the license that you have provided. So, and as I mentioned before, you can do the whole thing using the web browser as well. Now, from the web browser, you will be able to access our secure MFT user web dashboard. In there, you can click on send and be able to basically send the file. similar workflow as if you're using Outlook, and you can also use that to receive files as well. So let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation quickly. So that was a very quick demonstration. If anyone is interested in it, please feel free to contact Diem or to contact OpenText. We'll be more than happy to have a more in-depth discussion and give you a better, longer demonstration, show you more feature about the product. But in general, to summarize what I've just said before, I talk about the simplified user experience. As using email is definitely one of the easiest thing to do, and if you're already using WriteFax solution, you're already probably exposed to this type of plugin where you can use your email to send faxes, and in this case, you can use email, your Outlook, to send extremely large file without having to wait for any IT to come to your assistant, without having to remember those awkward FTP password and URLs and things like that. And this is basically recapture what I just showed you before. Using the Outlook, you can attach files or folders. And as Amy mentioned, Secure MFT is designed to send not just a regular file, it can also send extremely large file. So in this case, I'm actually sending a VM image. Things like this usually require a dedicated type of transfer solution to help you exchange those files. A 40 gigabyte of VM image can be easily transferred or exchanged using Secure MFT in this case. So there are, as I mentioned, multiple ways of doing file transfer. I showed you how to do it using email, and I also showed you the web interface. Using the Transfer Manager, which is our native client, you can also quickly send files from the desktop using the native client. The situation may be because you don't have Outlook running on that particular machine, or maybe you are just simply not using Outlook. Maybe you are an IBM Note customer. In that case, you can still send large files using our native client. With our mobile devices, you can use them to access the web page and download assets. And if there is any time that you need to repetitively exchange files to the same party over and over again, maybe because you're in the middle of a project and you're going through iterations of designing a document or working on some engineering tools or engineering design and what have you. So in this case, you can use a dispatch folder, basically a hot folder. Anything that you put inside this hot folder, Secure MFT, the native client, will be able to pick it up and send it to a pre-defined recipient or recipient list. So in this case, every time you have a new version updated document, you just drop it in the folder, and the folder will take care of sending for you. You don't even have to go to your Outlook and draft an email manually. And of course, you can have multiple dispatch folders for different projects, for different types of file, for different people that you need to contact with. Security is definitely one of the biggest feature within Secure MFT. We want to make sure that all your exchange is secure and protect you from all those hackers that Amy has mentioned. So Secure MFT use FIPS 140-2 level 1 encryption technology to encrypt all the data, whether it's not being sent out on the wire or being stored on the system in our Secure MFT server. And this way that we configure the system, the security parameter is that only the senders and the receiver will be able to read the file. No one, not even OpenText, have a master key to unlock any of your files. Think of the Apple iMessage or a lot of different web chat applications. They all advertising the same thing. Now, all your exchange is private to you and the parties that you are exchanging with. There are a lot of performance or productivity enhancing features built into this product. One of the very important thing is what we call the file integrity check here. Being able to send large file is great. Being able to send large file quickly is even better. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that regardless of the size of the file that you're trying to send, what you send is exactly bit identical to what the other people receive. So this is what we have put in the product. We do the checksum integrity check whenever a file is being transferred. So we will make sure that the content is unaltered and uncompromised. You can guarantee bit, and we can guarantee bit perfect transaction at the end of each transaction. Going back to the security, we have obviously require users to authenticate themselves before they can access the solution. Secure MFT provide in two different flavors. We do have an on-premises version where you will control every single component, and you are responsible for your infrastructure, and that is probably the ultimate level of control that we can give you when it comes to managing your file transfer. And we can also provide you with a cloud or SaaS model where OpenText will be hosting the secure MFT service or solution in one of our data center. So in that case, you don't have to worry about the infrastructure cost, but instead you just basically provide us a monthly subscription payment for the service that you will be acquiring from OpenText. So we provide those two flavors. But when it comes to authentication, regardless of which flavor you use, the back end is always secure. Now, if we use OpenText Directory Services to achieve the authentication tasks, if you are in the cloud environment, then of course every single user account in our cloud environment are unique to each tenant. But if you're using our on-premises solution, then you will have the added benefit of tying the authentication against your corporate Active Directory or LDAP. So in that case, you can achieve single sign-on easily. But still, even with on-premises solution with the single sign-on capability, you can still create individual user account for third-party users, be that your partners or your customers. So you can have two separate set of accounts going into a secure MFT server fully under your control. Speaking of control, now you can control the distribution of the asset. Secure MFT allows senders to define who can receive the files and in what manner they can receive the file. One of the options is an anonymous receiver, which is arguably less secure, but it is more convenient. It's always that trade-off. What that means is that you can send a file to a receiver. The receiver will not need to authenticate themselves when they click on the link and download the asset. We will still record the activity in our log file, in our audit trail, but it will have less information about that receiver. But if you want to achieve maximum security, of course, you will want to enable authentication so that every single user who clicks on the link will have to be a registered user. And because they are a registered user, we have better way of tracking who that person is. We can actually show you the name of the user as opposed to just simply an IP address. And this is something that you as a center can control, or as administrator, if you want to ensure maximum security in every single transaction, he can enforce that from a global level. Data sovereignty is applicable to our secure MFT in the cloud. Secure MFT is running in 3 of the OpenText data centers, one in North America, one in Frankfurt, Germany, and also one in Sydney, Australia. And all those data centers, they are individually and separately operated. So whatever transaction that happens within that data center will be held in that data center. It will be in region processing. We would not transfer that asset out of that data center, and that is what really matters when it comes to data sovereignty, is to protect the origin and also the storage place of the asset that you want to keep, the one that you want to exchange. So we have 3 different locations where you can use to host or to support your users when it comes to file exchange. One thing that Amy talks a lot about is about its performance as well. Now, we said we can exchange 40 gig or actually even bigger file sizes. But when it comes to this type of file size, you definitely want to make sure that the file transfer happens as quickly as possible. You don't want to wait for 6 hours for the file to transfer. And that's why Secure MFT comes with the OpenText Few technology, which is a proprietary patent-pending acceleration protocol that OpenText created, and that provides you with unlimited file size and unlimited file type file exchange. This, of course, by using few, that means you need to have a special agent on each end of the transaction in order to take advantage of this acceleration, and that's why you may want to install the native client on your desktop to take advantage of that acceleration. Or if you're using web, a web client is also capable of doing this type of acceleration technology. And exactly what does that give you? Amy mentioned the FTP is slow, and definitely it is slow. It does not scale well with bandwidth as long as you have network latency. So in this particular scenario, I'm only sending a 100 megabyte file, but I'm sending it from the same location, but to 3 different destinations. One is across U.S., one is going to Europe over a slightly lower network connection, and then we can also send over to Asia. But in that case, the connection is a lot slower than any other connections, simply because of the distance that it has to travel and all those network latency that's built into that type of connection. So as you can see in here, now as your latency or network condition gets worse from US to Europe to Asia, the FTP performance is getting worse along the way as well. But with secure MFT, we guarantee that that transfer is always fast, regardless of where you're connecting to. And at the same time, we can also see that as 100 megabyte file, it's kind of okay. But if you want to send something like a 10 gigabyte file, then you can really tell the difference as opposed to 25 hours of sending a 10 gigabyte file from US to Asia with FTP. You can cut that down to around 14 minutes by using secure MFT. With secure MFT, we can also leverage your bandwidth to the maximum efficiency. So what that means is, if you give us more bandwidth, 1.5 megabit per second typical T1 connection, to a good connection like 100 megabit per second, you can see the secure MFT transfer time getting shorter and shorter and shorter, because we leverage the extra bandwidth that is provided, versus FTP, regardless of how much bandwidth you give them, as long as the connection is poor, in this case from US to Asia, in this case, then FTP will always transfer very slowly. Even if you throw more bandwidth to the FTP connection, it will just simply not take advantage of that. One more feature that I want to mention is a single instance storage. It is a very almost like a magical way for you to accelerate file upload with our secure MFT product. The idea behind that is quite simple. Now, how many times do I have to send, do you or I have to send the same file to different people in the course of, say, a week? I send a file on Monday, and on Wednesday I say, hey, I know so-and-so will need the same file as well. So in this case, if the file is big, then that means you will have to sit through the file transfer. And even with secure MFT, it may still mean 5 or 10 minutes of transfer time. You may or may not want to wait for that 5 or 10 minutes. So in this case, we provide a single instance storage. As long as you have transferred this file before and this file is still existing in our data center, we will detect that, and then we will verify that, and then we will intelligently tell you that, hey, this is a file that we already have in our data repository, and I will save you the 5 or 10 minutes of upload time, and I will just simply reuse this asset. So in that case, it turns into a very performance productivity enhancing feature, because now instead of 10 minutes, it will complete the file transfer upload in 1 second. And this is a tremendous improvement in your productivity. So that's basically is a very high overview of what secure MFT is and how it works, and some of the features that will give you the performance, the security, and the productivity that you need for your daily file to satisfy your daily file transfer needs. So to emphasize the points that Amy has made before in the beginning of the presentation, Secure MFT is designed to be very easy to use. As you can see, using Outlook, anyone can use that to send any large file without bothering IT. File transfer is secure, whether it is on the wire or whether it is in storage, and only the sender and receiver will be able to actually access that file. And the file transfer is fast thanks to our OpenText Few protocol. It can accelerate file transfer up to 80 times faster than FTP. Basically, the poorer the network connection is, the more saving you get from a Secure MFT solution. So this basically reaches the end of my portion. And if you have any questions, and if you want to learn more about Secure MFT, you are welcome to go to our website, www.opentext.com/securemft, and there are numerous white paper and data sheets and things like that for you to learn more about our product.
Thank you very much, Robert, for the detailed information and the demo, and thank you, Amy, as well. As Robert mentioned, you may visit opentext.com for more information, or you may contact your Diem Technologies account manager. If you're not sure who that is, you can contact us at 877-669-3700, or send an email to info@diem.com, and we will have your emails transferred accordingly. With that, we'd like to offer you to post your questions, and again, we'll address as many as we can. If we can't get to your questions, we'll follow up with you individually after the call. You may also find the recording at youtube.com/allthingsfax later this afternoon. Kent, do you have any questions?
So we do. We have a couple of questions here, and I think these are going to be for Robert. The first question is, do you have integration with Domino?
We do not have integration with Domino. The only integration that we have is with the Microsoft Outlook client. We do have some other integration with other OpenText products, such as the media management solution and an engineering solution called Transmittos. But the fact is, Secure MFT provides a wealth of APIs and automation tools where you can either programmatically control Secure MFT to initiate file transfer, or you can use our automation tool to automate the sending and receiving of files. I talked about the dispatch folder, which is somewhat of a semi-automatic way of doing a file transfer, but we have even more capable file automated send mechanism buried in our server side that you can leverage to automate those tasks. So systems will be able to send files to recipient dynamically.
Okay, and the second question, I think you answered it, but is Lotus Notes supported? And I would assume the answer to that would be no, just Outlook currently, correct?
That is correct, and as I said, we can always use the transfer manager, the native client that you installed on the desktop, to initiate file transfer. And this way, you don't have to. You're not bounded to use Outlook. There are people who are still using Gmail or whatever. I mean, even those guys will be able to use the native client to initiate file transfers.
Okay, great. And that's all I have on my end. We'll wait just a few more seconds to see if there's any additional questions. And that looks like it's it. It's about it. And as you mentioned, Robert and Michelle, if you have any additional questions later on after the webinar, give us a call at our number 877-669-3700, or you can contact us through email info@diem.com, and and we can pull the appropriate resources in if we don't have the question on the sales side. So I guess I'll hand it back to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Kent, and thank you again, everyone, for your time. We hope this was beneficial. Have a great day.
Thank you.